The midterms may be over,
but there's a lot that remains uncertain regarding women's health.
Trump has made his views on abortion, sexual assault, and women in general very clear.
And that could have some serious implication for several important policies.
Over 4 million people rely on Title X,
the nation's program for affordable birth control and reproductive health care, which helps those with low incomes afford family planning, STI treatment, and cancer screenings.
The Trump administration is trying to make it so health centers that provide or refer people to abortion services
would no longer be allowed to serve patients through the Title X program.
No Title X funding goes towards abortions in the first place, but that's not stopping Trump from pushing the prospective gag rule, which would prevent millions of Americans from getting access to much-needed healthcare services.
Many medical groups have said it's unethical to keep information or care from patients because it would be impossible for health centers like Planned Parenthood, which serves 41% of the people in the Title X program, to remain in the program under these constraints. People who can't afford health care or can't find another reproductive health care provider may be left with nowhere to turn. Most people who rely on Title X can't afford usual doctor's appointments.
So the most vulnerable individuals end up suffering if it's taken away.
At least 1/3 of the patients who will be affected by the gag rule are people of color, and more than 1/3 are Hispanic or Latino. There is already a massive divide between who does and doesn't have health care in this country. This rule will make it worse.
Just the day after the midterm elections, the Trump administration released final rules allowing employers to opt out of providing health insurance that covers birth control.
The Department of Health and Human Services and the Trump administration have been trying to dismantle the rules in the Affordable Care Act, requiring most employers to offer health insurance that covers birth control for over a year.
And these updated rules allow even more companies to opt out on the grounds of sincerely held religious beliefs and non-religious moral convictions.
Final rules will likely take effect in January and will probably be challenged in court.
Birth control is essential health care that 9 out of 10 women will rely on in their lifetimes. And removing more means of getting it easily could mean more women will have to sacrifice it, and more unplanned pregnancies could result. Under Title IX, schools must ensure that all students have equal access to education while prohibiting discrimination, including sexual harassment and sexual violence.
Under President Obama's administration, assault that occurred between 2 students had to be investigated, even if it was off campus.
The Obama administration also emphasized that colleges should measure sexual assault cases against a preponderance of the evidence standard, where disciplinary action is taken if it's more likely than not that an assault occurred.
But Education Secretary Betsy DeVos and the DOE have proposed new rules for Title IX that would eliminate universities' responsibility for investigating off-campus incidents,
while allowing a school to choose the former policy or invoke a new policy allowing schools to raise the burden of evidence on survivors without giving them additional tools to collect it. This means that universities would be legally responsible for fewer assault cases.
And if assault victims do come forward, they'll have a much more difficult time getting justice against their attackers.
As it is, campus sexual assault crimes rarely end in justice for the victims. And if DeVos's changes are made official,
they would make it less likely that schools will take action to protect survivors, as well as elevate the rights of aggressors.
There is some good news, though.
With the House of Reps now being a pro-reproductive health majority,
it will be harder for Trump to change or eliminate these policies.
There are plenty of women heading into Washington who are ready to defend the rights Trump is threatening to take away.
Though these important measures are far from safe, staying informed and supporting these politicians that champion women's rights can help save them.